Good first day. It was good to get out there with the guys. Got creative in some of the approaches with some of the different periods and things that we set up. But I think all in all, really you can't tell until you go back and look at the tape. But always good energy from this group, and excited about building going into day 2 tomorrow. Yeah, all of those guys we had talked to, we've had, each guy we kind of have a little bit of a different approach with. Some of those guys had some things going on that they had communicated, Lindsey. The most important thing, like we've talked about, is voluntary. But we just want to make sure we're staying in contact with those guys. They've been very active throughout this offseason and doing a lot of things. And today we kind of expected that. We knew what was going on, and that's the most important thing. He did, yep, and we expect him, I want to say he's coming in either Tuesday night. We expect to see him Wednesday and Thursday. We will we'll follow up with that. Hopefully we get our guy Dante here then.
Sean, in Todd's case, do you expect him to take part at all?
Yeah, we've had a plan that's been really specific with him. I think it's something that we all sat down and felt really good about. He's been a guy that's really done a good job of being able to use some of the things that we have here, but then also he's got some trainers that he's really comfortable with, that he works with, from time to time, and really, as long as we're all on the same page, we feel good about that, and most importantly, Todd feels good. He's got a lot of experience, and he's staying up to date with everything that's going on, but that's kind of where we're at with him right now.
Where are you guys at with Cooper?
I know Cooper is itching to get involved, and he's like a kid standing on the sidelines that just wants to be able to grab a ball and go play. So he's making great progress. I think he's one of those guys that's right on track with where we want him to be. We'll be able to kind of get creative and get him involved in a little bit more as we progress through this offseason, Lindsey. And then obviously the goal is to make sure that he's ready to return to competition and performance against the Panthers. Yeah, Maria, until we really go back and look at the film, it is, because they came in so much later. So there's a learning curve that needs to take place where instead of just being able to go out there and play. And then we've had to get creative with a lot of the bodies. And until you go back and look at it, it's hard to truly say. But I think as we accumulate some time on the field with these guys over the next few weeks, hopefully that'll start to clear up. I think there are certain drills and settings and some of the 7-ons where you can feel a little bit easier chance to evaluate some of the skill guys, their ability to move around when there's not so many bodies. But sometimes when you get into these team settings and it's 11 on 11 and one little thing here and there, it kind of muddies up the whole play. But that's to be expected on the first day.
It's like having two Cup brothers out there again.
It's good. I think when we worked him out a couple weeks ago, he looks like part of the family. He's got that great demeanor too. So haven't had a chance to spend too much time with him, but that's a special family, and we're glad to have him on board.
How important is this stretch for Joe and Brian just to get used to playing with that first team, especially with Brian having to get used to snaps with Jared?
Sure. I think every day is really important, and, especially when you're talking about young guys accumulating experience, whether it be above the neck or even some of the physical reps. So we'll try to do a little bit of both in terms of creating some of those situations that hopefully put them in a position to just keep taking steps every single day. And they've been great with Coach Cromer. He does such an outstanding job really developing guys, but been really impressed with both of their, just their even-keeled demeanors. They both have a nice confidence about themselves. Obviously Brian being naturally thrust into a role where you have to communicate, and I think he's done a really good job because there's so much that goes on specific to the cadence, the calls up front, he and Jared's rapport, and I think they're taking good steps one day at a time.
Can you tell the benefits of cross-training with Coach Cromer when you see those guys step into roles now a year after they started having on that?
Yeah, I think what it really does is it just helps you have a big picture understanding. Even if you do have a feel for, okay, this guy's probably best suited to be this, you understand the big picture concept. So I think that enables you to be able to seamlessly fit. You're comfortable getting in a right and a left-handed stance. And they're both conscientious football players that love it. And those kind of guys that are smart, they get better. That's what they've done. And we're hopeful that, while it's still very, very early in the offseason, we have a lot of things that we need to continue to do and take steps in the right direction. They're in a good place right now, and you love the way they're approaching it.
Is there anything you can do to help that along, or is that something they just
Yeah, I think it's best when the players take ownership. I think you always want to try to create scenarios, situations, things that help achieve that rapport and really that continuity. But more than anything, what's special about, the game of football, as much as we like to be involved as coaches, and I know I certainly am guilty of that, what makes a difference is when the players have the ownership and their ability to communicate and kind of take some of the things that we're trying to hopefully set the foundation for, and then they take it to the, their own level with their ownership, some of the subtleties, and there's certain things that exist outside the framework of what we're exposed to as coaches. But those two guys have really done a great job naturally being thrust into leadership roles, where Jared's going into now his third year, being able to really have a great ownership on the system in a lot of different ways. And I think he and Brian are really getting comfortable with one another, and you can hear, their communication after periods of, a certain set of plays, whatever it is, their dialogue is ongoing, and that's the most important thing.
You won't have to also take off that because
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys started or made any progress on?
Yeah, you know what? We really haven't had a chance to. I mean, we've been so busy as far as, just kind of getting ready. It seems like something's always but those are things that I think really once you get a chance to kind of just slow down, get in the off-season program really in its entirety. But, we're focused on really coaching these guys up. Those are conversations that come up, but I think that's something that, will be on the docket in the next couple weeks for sure.
Is there any update on Nebraska's status of the organization and how has his absence affected the offseason? That's really kind of strange.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's, he is, we're still waiting on, some things to get cleared up. I'm not exactly sure when his next date is, Lindsay, but I know that it's probably when the off-season program concludes. So, that's something that we've had a couple people where the assistant coaches, Nando, Eddie, and Dustin have done an excellent job stepping up. We've also had a couple other people to kind of help supplement that loss. And really it's one of those deals where, we're just taking it one day at a time. Guys have done an outstanding job in the meantime of getting better. And then, I think we'll have a little bit more clarity on that probably later on once some of the next steps take place for us to be able to evaluate and make the best decision for the Rams moving forward.
Growers?
Yeah, you bring those guys in because they're experienced players that have a great, awareness level. They have great production. They love football, and you feel it right away. I think they'll enable us to be a lot more flexible when you've got really two movable pieces. When you're looking at a guy like Eric Weddle, who's really lined up all over the place. He can play that dime linebacker spot. He can play any of the safety locations. He's got a great big picture feel and understanding. Clay Matthews has been an all-pro player, both on the first level and on the second level as an inside linebacker, but they both love football. They understand it. And I think when you have players that enable you to be a little bit more flexible with what you can give an offense to deal with, we're going to get a lot better. And those guys, you already feel their contribution. It's early, but you can feel they've had a positive impact on this team, I guess I should say. And, out there today, you see these guys and you say, man, I'm glad they're on our team now. So we're looking forward to just keep building with them. It's been great. I think one of the things that you really appreciate about Aaron and Lindsay is, you always hear that the great ones bring others with them. And, he's got a way about himself where he raises the level of play of everybody around him. And the way that he goes about his business, I think there's something special when you've got your two-time reigning defensive player of the year who works as hard as he does. And sometimes you don't have to say, just say, look at what this guy does, and that's what's right. And, you love being around him. We love Aaron, and, it's nice having him around here this time of year. I didn't realize how much I enjoyed him. So, thanks, guys.